great analysis. Those are it. Yeah, you wanted to say something?
I just want to understand that people are going on and on about how the president must go. But the rating on the scorecards, what is the value of those ratings towards the ministers and the president? Because with any...
Zero.
Yes, exactly. Because when you take a child, when you get a school report coming from a child, in areas where this child is not performing well, you as a parent take initiatives to make sure that this child improves. So year in and year out, we're getting basically the same scores or scorecard results. So what is the value or the message from these scorecards for the president and for the ministers? Because at the end of the day, good performance is meant to be rewarded.
It's clear. We may not know what the motivations are, but we know they are not that. There's just no possible explanation that would fit that. So their own measurements have somehow completely separated in a sort of radical way, more than in the past, it seems to me. If you continue the scorecard, it seems to me one has to point that out. Whatever criteria you're using, it's clearly not theirs.
Sure. There's one comment. Yes, sir.
Yes, that's what I think we are not necessarily advocating for one party or one party. Now, maybe my question will be alluded to my analyst there regarding the media insistence on what you believe the media indicated.
Sorry, do you mind speaking up? I can't.
Just maybe stand up so that we can hear.
No, yes. What I'm trying to say is that I don't think we are necessarily advocating for one party domination, neither one party state. Ideas and parties do come and contest to the voters and people decide. But my question is that there is this consistence or insistence from the media in terms of public opinion representation. Now, I just want to understand whose voice actually counts more than the other. In a sense that if a party goes to the electorate and the electorate gives the party a certain mandate, then who is the prefector in terms of monitoring whether things are happening properly, and at the same time, do the voices of the ordinary person are taken into consideration when those analyses are coming in? Also, lastly, let me take you a bit back. When the new nation was starting to develop, I remember Prof. Mahoba, when he made some of his input, that it seems as if the media, I don't know whether it's happening in Africa or in South Africa, but contextualizing it in an African context or South African context, there's a bit of a cycle. There's a dislink between ourselves as the public and at the same time the media itself. Now what I'm trying to drive at is that whose voice actually accounts more than the other, at whose expense, I think.
Very good question. Okay, I'll come back to you just now. Let's start with that issue of the value. And then we'll get I've just got others to talk about perhaps that gap between what we report. Sorry, let me just get answers first. I'm going to come to you.
I think ultimately we are the media, so we don't have any sort of direct. We can't inflict a direct consequence on on the people that we are evaluating. However, we do know that ministers year in and year out look forward to seeing what their scores are. This is what they tell us. This is what we know, that they look forward. So they do have an awareness, at least, of the fact that they are being evaluated. They are looking at these things. You're right that ultimately we're not able to say, yes, you got an F, minister, so you're staying in this grade this year. We're not able to inflict those kinds of direct consequences. But what we're able to do, and I guess the point of the exercise for us is the media, is to take a step back, reflect on performance of government in order to better enable our readers to engage with their leaders better.
Okay. $1 million question about the disjuncture, this gap that exists perhaps between the media and... Maybe let me start with you, because Angela, you kind of touched on it a little earlier on when you were responding about the easy victories that we tend to claim, the Mandela-Rousseau victories. Maybe that there's that gap then that exists.
Okay, my response to that is firstly, there is an assumption that there is an easy relationship between people who vote for a party and what that party does. And that relationship isn't really borne out in most places in the world. Because between an election and people's reception of the policy implementation or lack of, there's also a disjunction. Because politicians make promises in the electoral run-up which are not necessarily implemented as policy in the next phase. So that's a crucial thing to understand about politics the world over. As for the kind of analysis that we see, I don't think that there is one thing called the media in South Africa. There are varieties of kinds of media. And in those media spaces, we hear a variety of voices. So some of your analysts will be there because they're trying to persuade you into a certain kind of understanding of the world. And some of your analysts are in that space trying to spur you to think differently about what you currently think. And it's important, this goes back to my critical literacy question. If you have a more critically literate, and this is one of the consequences of failures in basic and tertiary education in South Africa for 25 years, if you have a more critically literate audience, it will not matter if I have Steve Bannon telling me something. If I'm literate enough to be able to make a decision about the truth value of what Steve Bannon has to say. But if you have intergenerational critical literacy failures, the consequences of having post-truth politics analysis steeped in party-loyal visions, that I'm saying this on television or I'm saying this on radio because I want you to vote for the party that I secretly support, or that I think you should go this particular way, that your vote should change in a particular way. That's clear, that happens all the time. And I think it has blinded people to other moments where the analysts are not actually telling you what to think or what to do. They're saying to you, this is the information out there, try and make sense of it. And that's what I think South Africans often vocally, I don't say the majority, the vocal ones, don't want to do. They don't want to be made to think a little more critically because they prefer to be able to say, aha, you're an analyst in the blue box, you're one of the Smurfs. No, you're an analyst in the green box, you're one of the leprechauns. Oh no, you're one of the little red devils. When they can't do that, you often become, we don't know what to do with you, you're just talking. This doesn't make any sense. Because they're not capacitated and they're not using the media, and the media is not using enough of its own capacity to enhance that ability. So yes, you're going to have viewers or readers of the report cards who go, but this is rubbish. These people just hate, the minister. They just hate the ANC. And then you'll have other people going, this is so true. And you'll have a smaller other group of people who are vocal enough to say, well, I can read this, I can see where they're coming from, I disagree with them. And then you have the silent majority. Because let's not forget, there are 55 million people in this country. 11 million of them voted for the ANC. So we need to be very careful about assuming that this party represents this majority voice. Because that, again, is a moment of analysis. Yes, they won the last election convincingly. It's 62%. It would be ridiculous to say this was a sound performance. Even these municipal elections, they lost out because governments were formed against them by coalition. They did not dump down into the 20% range. So when we tell the story, even commonsensically we tell ourselves, the ANC lost 3 metros in an election. There are places in the world where the percentages that the ANC got in those elections would have put them in